What's good, everybody? Welcome back to Reloaded Daily, where the streets talk and we listen. Today we breaking down Gucci Mane's latest sit-down with the Big Facts podcast, and I'm giving it to you unfiltered, uncut, uncensored, no fluff. I'm talking about Guwap's evolution, the mental health journey he put on wax and paper, that famous Verzuz moment that almost went left with the snowman, the reasons why he's moving like an executive first and artist second, and what he really feel about rapper podcasts. Let's walk it from the top and keep it all the way 1,000 on this. First off, the energy Gucci brought was calm, grateful, and focused. He looking at the rap game like a pipeline. Still changing lives, still taking folks from the block to a payroll. No petty gatekeeping. He respects the young wave too. He ain't trying to turn 19-year-olds into 40-year-olds overnight. He meets artists where they at, speaking their language, then guides them to success. That's executive talk, not ego talk. Legacy-wise, he owns the Curator tag proudly. That brick factory era, organized chaos that turned into careers. He duplicated an open-door studio like Zaytoven used to run. 15 people throwing ideas, 5 producers on deck, a camera guy catching history by accident. He learned early that access breeds masterpieces. He wasn't the feature you had to go find. He was the feature who always pulled up. That battery in your back confidence, that was him before the success and fame showed up. On the human side, he feels the love from the fans and his peers. He had a recent book signing in Miami, and he had people the same age as him saying, "You walked me through middle school to a grown-up paying bills." And that hit him. He looks healthy, and that's because he is healthy. At least 6 days a week in the gym. Early mornings daddy duties, and the kids be wearing him out by 8 o'clock. Every day, the same routine on repeat. Simple routine that yields big results. Now let's talk about his growth for real. When he first came home, he was uneasy without the old vices, lean, smoke, crew energy. He say he thought the creativity might shrink. So he went cold turkey anyway and learned that discipline beats dependency. Probation officers had eyes on him. When probation faded, the structure stayed. He kept a straight line, cause the piece was priceless. He also kept it G about Atlanta. He loves the city, but not the police pressure. So he stopped trying to force a home court that ain't rooting for him. On top of that, East Atlanta still triggers old circuitry in his head. That memory muscle will walk him down the same blocks on autopilot. He recognized it and changed his environment instead of pretending the past ain't powerful. That brings us to the episodes. The term episodes is what he and his wife Keisha uses to describe his bipolar episodes, where he crashes out, and most of the time doesn't remember flashing out in the first place. The new book and the episodes concept didn't start as marketing. It started with his wife telling him, after a real episode, you needed to see yourself. That sparked the idea to document, then to help. He talked about walking his artist scar through a crisis using questions his wife fed him quietly in the background and talked him all the way into the hospital. That's not clout. That's stewardship. Gucci a real one for that. He not hiding the diagnosis either. He speaks openly about therapy, medication, calling bipolar by his name, bipolarism, all with no shame, no fake tough. He even knows that the ugliest part is waking up after an episode embarrassed by words he would never say while he was sober. So now he's proactive. At least, he tries to be. Address it. Own it. And move like a man who wants to be present for 2 little ones every morning. That honesty makes room for apologies too. He doubled back to people he disrespected in the storm, including Drake. Like, my bad, I was unwell. Some folks held it against him, many didn't. That grace wasn't lost on him. Multiple personas, He still got them, La Flair, Guwap, all that. But they under control now. The wildest version of himself don't get to drive. He's not trying to relive old beefs or re-meet old demons. Out of sight, out of mind, and it's been years. Let it heal. He said it plain. If he starts talking about it again, he's back in it again, and he's not doing that to himself or his family. Let's rewind the verses with Jeezy. When Gucci performed Truth, the tension spiked. He admitted it wasn't planned to get that hot, but once the temperature rose, it rose fast. He's actually thankful Jeezy pivoted to de-escalate. If the response song had been Stay Strapped right then, it might have gone volcanic. That's grown man perspective, respect to the cooler head in the moment. He even said he'd have entertained matchups with Rick Ross or T.I., and that he and Tip put the old issues down. That's leadership by example. On business, he's ruthless in the right way. Move quick, be selective. Don't let a deal bleed out the company. If the math don't math after a year, he not dragging it. He's freeing both sides. That's not spite, that's survival. The focus now is Pooh Shiesty, who just jumped out, and Fujiano whenever he comes home, and he's actively scouting a female artist to complete the roster. He said he loves how the women are moving nowadays, and he's been trying to get one on the squad since yesteryear. Numbers talk. Since coming home in 2016, he's been prolific with precision. He put out a run of projects. This next Episodes album marks his 19th since release, with a stack of plaques behind it. Third book, out now, dropped on the 14th, and Episodes slated for October 17th. There's also a Tux and Ice live moment for New Year's Eve in Atlanta with a symphony show, iced up and masked, suiting and booting, doing it classy and loud at the same time. That's brand architecture. International love, he lights up talking about it. Overseas fans know every word, no fake cool at the show. Standing outside hotels, airports, buying merch, full commitment. Sometimes you gotta leave home to remember you global. Culture debates came up too. Cash money versus no limit. Guwap is a certified no limit head from back in the day, buying everything Master P touched. Waiting on every P verse, pen and pixel covers taped to memory. But he salutes both camps. He got real relationships and real respect for the Birdman dynasty as well. He won't pick a winner because eras, reach, and context are different. And he ain't wrong. He says comparing them is an internet sport, not an honest metric. Okay, well now, let's address the internet. He sees everything and comments on nothing. That's discipline. He'll vent to a homie, not post for strangers. He already lived the reply guy era in 2013. That fateful Friday the 13th Twitter meltdown that spiraled into a police standoff. That was the darkest point, and it ended with bars and a reset. He's not going back there. Words online don't move him. Disrespect in person is the only thing that registers as a line. These days, when it comes to priorities, family sits at the top. When he looks in the mirror, he sees father, husband, then artist. He wanted a role model off his name. Now he lives like one. He wants his artists to copy his behavior, his new, reformed behavior, and not just copy his beats. Today, his probation done. His discipline is on 100. And his life is thriving, moving forward. The old him lived pessimistic, compared to the new him who is optimistic. But preventative. If a city targets him, he leaving, no fusing about it. If an entourage raises risk, he cut him off, no doubt about it. That's not scary. That's smart. Money talk and lifestyle shifts. He hasn't bought a car since 2020. He keeps one Phantom and takes the kids to school in it. Wife got the fleet. He doesn't need 7 keys to prove anything. Jewelry though, That's his uniform. He'll hit a stage in $1 million chain, bracelets, and rings to match. And he means real stones. Lab diamonds? He calls that fake. He ain't judging your pockets. He's just saying don't cosplay a tax bracket you can't afford because you can't resell pretend. If your lane is an Apple Watch, rock it clean. Authenticity costs less than pretending. Creative diet. When he trains, he runs through full albums. Luther Vandross, Michael Jackson, Al Green, Tupac, and he keeps Dolph in rotation heavy. That's how he stays inspired without tapping the same old substances. The music matured because the man matured. He also had grace for people he once clashed with. If somebody he was at odds with extends an olive branch, he'll receive it. He knows the weight of wanting forgiveness, so he'll pass that same mercy forward. Not everybody gets let back in, but he ain't walking around bitter. Future plans are simple. Fewer albums, stronger ones, more executive moves, more books. He's even eyeing a marriage game playbook with his wife for their 10-year anniversary in 2027 to give couples a blueprint. On camera, he'd love to act his story out. As for podcasts, not happening. In his words, when rappers start podcasting, it looks like the music slowed down. He'll still do interviews, but he's not turning into a weekly talker. Everybody doesn't need a mic just to give opinions. He'd rather let milestones speak. Before we land this plane, a quick note on versus etiquette and grown man weight. That night with Jeezy taught him that leadership is sometimes not saying the next thing you feel. He gave that man respect for de-escalating when the room was ready to jump. From that point, the air cleared and stayed clear. That's what the culture needs. Guys with real history choosing present peace. So here's the bottom line on Goo-Wop today. He's evidence that you can be legendary twice. Once for the chaos you survived, and again for the order you built. He's curating new stars, writing his mind onto pages so people don't suffer alone, performing in tuxedos with orchestras on New Year's Eve, and tucking his kids in by 8 after a 6-day training week. Same ice, new temperature. If you rock with that kind of evolution, run this up. Drop your favorite Gucci era in the comments, and tell me the first song that made you a believer. Like the video if you respect honest growth. Share it with somebody who needs the blueprint. And hit subscribe so you don't miss the next breakdown. Reloaded Daily, where the streets talk and we listen.